drawing after drawing after drawing. I just want to, yeah, that's right. I'm imagining me as a superhero holding a torch. No, that's dumb. Let's do a flag. Yeah, that'll work. All right, I'm ready to draw. It's gonna be great. There we go. Looks great. Yeah. Wait a minute. What is this? Oh my gosh, this isn't what I imagined. This is trash. There's another one. What am I gonna do? All right, let's grab another piece of paper and try this again. This time, let me focus harder and yeah, I think it's gonna look better this time. Wait a minute. How about we just go back to the beginning? So part of the art process and getting your art piece out of your mind and onto the page is about being confident, not getting depressed about how it's coming out, and making sure that you're having fun creating this drawing. You can easily start out, somewhat cool and then just fall apart, or you can start it out really not cool and then it'll just never be completed anyway. So here's the process that you can take to get your piece out of your mind and onto paper and have fun with it and have it look the way you want it to look. So there's a couple ways you can do this. First step is have your imagination ready. Have your thought, really thought out, right? Like stay in your mind for a minute. You don't have to push it out of your mind so fast, but you can actually sit there and think about your drawing. I have this idea of this Spartan who's kneeling and it's raining and the rain is just splattering all over everywhere, and he's protecting his shields from getting hit by arrows from his Persian enemies. And he's got his staff in one hand, he's kneeling, and and then maybe above there's like a comic book symbol of somebody yelling, maybe like another Spartan yelling like attack or something, whatever it may be. But I think that's going to be a cool little drawing, and I'm thinking about it, I'm visioning it, I'm spending time with it in my head a little bit, kind of seeing how it looks. I want it from a side shot, so I'm ready to put it to paper. Let's begin. First step. Okay, I can do this. I can just draw the head, right? And use another piece of paper if you can. If you want to draw, you have one piece of paper and you want to draw on top of it. That's why we're using a 2H. It's because you can draw real lightly and erase it and then start your full drawing afterwards and keep building on top of it. But if you have an extra piece of paper, I'm going to throw these away and use these just as references before we get to the real piece. But here we go. Ready? Mindset, go. Head, and then body, right? I want his leg here, his foot, and I want his arm here. Look, I'm not being proportionate. I'm just drawing his hands here. Maybe have his another hand here, and he's just kneeling, right? And then he's got his foot in the water or in the puddle, and then let's put his shield here somewhere. Let's put his staff. Let's put it right here. He's got this staff. And we got some arrows hitting them, okay? And then I want the rain to kind of be like all over the place, just splattering everywhere. And it'd be even cool to have like the symbol of the Spartan lambda symbol behind it. Can't think. And then maybe like a panel here, right? Of a Spartan yelling, an angry Spartan. And there we go. That's one way to draw it. This is the simplest way to get your idea out. A lot of comic book artists will use something similar to this and just really push out the idea, so that way their brain isn't being overwhelmed with trying to create the hair and this and that at first, but with just getting the idea, so that way you can start building on it, because you'll start to discover that there are a lot of things that your mind doesn't really process perfectly, and once you start drawing, you'll realize, oh, well, he needs a cape, or the wrinkles go here. Oh, maybe I could put like a armband here, and then maybe his belt has like weapons on it, and he needs a sword. So like, oh yeah, I need to put a sword here, right? And then his belt should be right here then because of that, and so on. So this is step one. You can do this. I highly recommend you do this first, anyways, and put it out. Stick figures are stick figures, and they're great. Let's go to step two. Option number two for drawing quickly, which a lot of schools try to teach you to kind of formulate your shading and your structure and form, is by using the shape method, right? Using cubes and rectangles and circles to kind of build out your character. And though this may be helpful for learning how to shade and keeping your proportions pretty accurate, what it doesn't do is keep you interested in your drawing very well. I find myself getting very bored drawing a robot, because that's what it feels like I'm drawing, right? And it can be helpful. Definitely you want to practice this and learn it so you can understand, how to shade and where the shadows are going to be, and keeping things of that nature in place. But honestly, if you want your image to be put out as fast as possible, this is not going to do it. Though, it does have benefits, right? You can start drawing within it, and it makes it easier to put your character within it in proportions. But this is something that you're going to have to learn through practice and lots of practice with drawing. But I don't recommend it. I don't recommend this because this style has hindered me more than it's actually benefited me in the drawing from imagination to page. But let's go on to my favorite way of drawing, and this one is used by a lot of comic book artists and a lot of artists, period. You can even see some of the classical artists use this technique to flush out their ideas. So I have one piece of paper. I just want to draw it out. I want to get it out there, and I want to make this work. I'm going to show you how this works for me. The best way to do this, imagining the Spartan kneeling in the mud, rain, shield, yelling at the face. This is what I would do. I would quickly go, okay, he's looking back, he's looking like this, and he's got his arms here, shoulders here coming through forward, coming down, and then he's got his hands, and then he's kneeling, he's got a muscle here. I want to see some of his muscle. I'm going to put his hands here, holding the shield. Maybe I'll put it here, actually. And then coming through to his belt, and then he's got some like loin cloth thing going on. He's kneeling on his knee or his thigh. And of course we have his foot. Don't care about the foot. And then I've got his back leg coming out, and it's in the mud. Okay? Now, that's it. That's the whole process. From here, you can actually start organizing your character to look the way you want it to look. Oh, and I don't want to forget, I want to have this guy's face up here just yelling, right? Okay, open mouth, just screaming. Maybe you can have some hair coming out. He's got a Spartan helmet on, Spartan helmet. And then we can just put a panel. Maybe I'll put a panel here. And then let's put a big lambda symbol in the background. It's like that upside down V. I want to make it like splattery. And then don't forget his shield, which will be above his head. Get a big old shield. Then his spear. And then we're not going to add the rain quite yet. I did this in order to show you that you want to put your information down. Scribbling is the best technique. Just doodling and all that stuff is going to be able to get you to put your imagination on paper faster, because once your brain doesn't have to concentrate on, what kind of pose was he in? Where was he looking? What kind of stuff is going on? And you're just free to understand that this tool right here, the eraser, is your best friend. Then you're free to make a lot more mistakes and build out your page and your creative process better through your imagination. From here, since I have his head already in place, I can already start to design his helmet. Because that's the fun stuff, right? Put his eyes looking back. And then, I forgot this little nose piece that they have. Then maybe even have the Spartan hair, whatever that is. I don't know if it's lamb hair or horse hair or whatever, but you know, it's all the Greeks and Romans have this kind of stuff. And then, I can put in a cape here, start drawing. Now, I can already see that this arm is way too long, and his leg here is probably not long enough, and this, obviously, his foot's too short. There's a lot of issues with that. But because I'm scribbling, I can continue the scribbling process and just really rough out everything. Say, okay, well, his shoulder should be here, right? And then maybe have his bicep here, and then his elbow here. That's about right, And then you can just kind of measure it out. And his hand should be here. Now the angle of all this stuff can change. You're just using a pencil. And the good thing about using a 2H pencil is this stuff erases very well. And you can start inking right afterwards. But I recommend that you do this first, the process of scribbling, because once it's out, okay? And don't worry about the backgrounds unless they are a part of your subject's, like their necessity for your subject. Worry about the character or the animal or whatever is the main focus in your mind. All the background stuff in your brain, you can get to that later because that might even change and you might be happier with that. But what you're really enjoying is the idea, you have somebody doing something, fighting, and that's really what you want to draw. That's the main focus. So put your energy and your mind into scribbling out that information first. All the shading and stuff like that can come in later. You can just imagine what's going on, and you don't have to do any of this. You can just, if you want to, just start shading in stuff so you know where the lighting's coming from. It's fantastic. You could do that. Well, you're like, Josh, well, what about all the other information in the picture, his neck and all this other stuff? Well, this stuff comes later. The whole problem is that we start to draw something and we lose interest because we're getting kind of depressed about how it's coming. We're overworking our minds and focusing on the wrong things. This is supposed to be fun. So with me doing this, I have a lot more fun drawing, and I think a lot of you guys probably do this technique too. But for some of you, you might overthink it and want to have everything look perfect right away. And we're trying to avoid that because perfection is not the answer, and your style builds off of some of these little imperfections you find out that you have later. So this character, I can now that I have the basic shapes, I can fill him in. I can really get him built out. Okay, from here, if I want to keep on detailing my character with the 2H pencil, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to go further and design your character with a darker lead, you can always move up to an HB, or you can go to B. But I wouldn't do that. I would stick to the HB and the 2H pencils because they're just easier to erase. Honestly, that's the best part, is erasing. But yeah. And then once you have your character all drawn up and designed, which I'll show you, you can erase all of this, and you can still see some of the character here, which makes it perfect for the inking process, right? So if you're going to be drawing, I recommend you to scribble. Scribble, 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 scribble. And flush out your image and then confine it and refine it more and more to the actual image you have in your mind. Don't allow perfection in the beginning, and don't allow all these shapes and shadings and things that you might think about to restrict you from actually putting out the information on the full page first. I hope that's helpful. I think this will be a lot better for a lot of you guys to understand, and this is the process that I use for drawing comic books and a lot of other cool pieces that I enjoy. So after sketching and detailing and inking, we have a final piece. Now I kind of want to show you a comic book page and how I kind of do it. I just sketch all over it, everywhere I need. Right now I'm drawing this demon character that's coming after this boy who is trying to protect his cow in India. I'm just kind of putting in the hands and the fingers, and then putting his arm towards the ground, not being specific, just having fun with it. And then this blast, like a Dragon Ball Z blast going through the page, kind of separating the panels and the action that's happening, not being precise, just having fun. I'm gonna draw the boy here, just the head. I know I want the head there, it's got his body laying on the ground, but I'm not really worried about anything else. This will come later. I'm letting my imagination flow. I want his a close up of his eye here and his hands reaching out. Yeah. And then maybe I'll put the cow back here. It's kind of continuity with the scene of my other pages. And then yeah, just keep going with this route. I'm just gonna doodle, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna draw. I'm not going to think about whether it looks good or it makes sense. I'm just putting everything on the page. And that's the best part of art is that art comes from flow and this moment where you just really enjoy doing your art. And that's what I want to kind of encourage all of you guys today is to, you know, don't restrain yourselves from being imaginative and playing. I put in all these different panels and I can change them later, but at least this gives me a structure of what I want to see and how I want to see it. So as I finish it off, I'll be ready to start the inking process. And remember to take it step by step. You know, art is a process and you can really enjoy each process on its own. I imagine it as layers, and the layers are each a fun little project. Now, don't try to hinder yourself with the trying to finish all of this at once. You know, this takes hours, if not days, to try to finish an art piece. And you gotta have fun while you're doing it. Live with your characters, live with your scene, live with your whole art piece. That's what takes this uh, art that much further for you. So enjoy the process of doing all this and just, let it just flow onto the page. Now, whatever you want to see, just put it on there. And you can always erase later and fix it up and refine it. But you want to make the sketching process the most fun and exciting part of the art process. After penciling and everything, now you can ink it. You can really build out the contrast and the details and the shadows of your characters and scene. And it wouldn't be possible unless you really spend great time with the sketching and doodling process to give something that feels great to you, but also people who are looking at it can feel that you are in the state of flow and you enjoy creating it. So give it a shot, and I hope that you enjoy this technique. Yeah. All right, everybody. That's it. That's the tip I have for beginning artists to get their imagination out on the page right away and get it to where it really should feel comfortable drawing it and going through the process. Now, the process is fun. Don't be afraid of the process. A lot of people on Instagram and different social media platforms will show their beautiful ink drawings or pencil drawings that are just almost already finished. But what they don't show you is the practice beforehand and the preparing to get it to that level. Now, if you're doing realism, of course, you might want to use a grid to get proportions 100% and different shading techniques. But we're talking about getting that cool dragon, that cool Spider-Man, Batman image out on the page and really start working on your piece. Pencil it out and then pencil it again and then erase and then a pencil a little bit more and then ink and go further. The process is fun. Now remember, when you're using a pencil, different pencils do different things, but make sure you don't push too hard. If you push too hard, it creates a crevice on the paper and it's harder to get the eraser to pull that out. Once the graphite's in there, you're left with these cuts in your pages, and if you're shading, you'll see lines and stuff like that. So just lightly draw your image, get it out there quickly, just keep moving, and if you have to, talk to yourself and get that every little part of the character's outfit and their emotions and everything to kind of work out, but do it quickly and do it as scribbly as possible, because scribbles sometimes create fun little accidents that are enhancing to your image. So that's it. And remember, it takes time to perfect all these things, and get to the level of art that you want to get to. But if you're going to do that, have fun doing it. And if you want to join the Discord community, my Discord community, Inkology, we're a bunch of fun artists from beginner to intermediate to professional, all helping each other learn the arts and different techniques to get us better. So definitely join that. The link will be down below. If you want to, join Patreon and support me that way, you're more than welcome to as well. That's more behind the scenes stuff of how I get this stuff done. Also, like and subscribe. That'll help out the video and my channel. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram too for all my other types of artworks that I do other than inking. But hopefully this video was very encouraging for all of you out there who might feel discouraged about putting your imagination on paper. And I will see you guys next time.